On LinkedIn, you never really know who is telling the truth, but your posts, they never lie. I've been analyzing thousands of posts for the past years, and in this video, I'm going to analyze the 8 types of LinkedIn posts and what they say about you and your business. Without you even knowing it, every post you write says something about your business and about you, whether it's your state of mind, your level of success, or even the problems that you are trying to hide about your business. Some posts show confidence and expertise, while other posts are a cry for help. And the truth is that you don't even realize it. However, it could be a problem for your business because it could negatively affect your sales. But don't worry, I did the analysis for you. Just before I begin, you need to know something important about LinkedIn. You may think that your LinkedIn posts are just a way of communicating, but in reality, they reflect what is going on behind the scenes. An overworked entrepreneur, a struggling freelancer, a broke artist, or an entrepreneur with many problems, this is what your LinkedIn posts can reveal about your business and yourself. Now take a moment to think about all the posts that you've seen on LinkedIn in the past few days. Have you noticed that some entrepreneurs or business owners are aggressively posting about promotional offers or aggressive sales posts after long weeks of silence? Or have you noticed some consultants that are announcing strategic pivots after months or even years or talking about their secret recipe that was generating hundreds of sales? Those are not coincidences, those are signals, and they reveal something about their business. And the truth is that after analyzing thousands of LinkedIn posts, I discovered that these signals follow predictable patterns. And those patterns, they are revealing the behind the scenes of your business even more than what you are actually saying on the platform. So here are the 8 types of profiles on LinkedIn and what they reveal about you. The first one is the beginner. Being new on LinkedIn is something totally normal. It's not a crime in itself. But the truth is that beginners are easy to spot. They don't understand yet the platform's code and they follow the latest trends. You will easily recognize them by seeing that they are always chasing new trends that are appearing on the platform. One day they will do an inspirational quote with a gradient background. The other day they will start a poll asking random questions, and another day will be a story with them holding a cup of coffee. What happens here is that they are trying and experimenting new things on the platform. What it says here is that they are trying new things on the platforms as they are just starting. I've been in this case the first 3 months when I started on LinkedIn, and it's not a problem in itself, but what it says about them is that they don't really have a strong and solid content strategy where they're going to follow content pillars and key messages. Instead, they are just hopping from one format to another one, trying to experiment as fast as possible and also trying to chase new hacks. The truth is simple. Until they find their real voice and their real content strategy, their presence on LinkedIn will remain fragile. Now, it doesn't mean that it's a bad business or a very good one, but it says something about their business. It says that their messaging strategy is not perfectly done. Because what you should do on LinkedIn is to adapt your content strategy to the messaging strategy that you have at the business level. So when you see people starting on LinkedIn trying a lot of different messages, topics, and types of content, it might mean that they don't really have a strong messaging strategy in the behind the scenes. So what I advise them is to first set up a solid messaging strategy and then turn it into a content strategy to be successful on LinkedIn. Now let's talk about the second type of profile. We can call them the phantom. Take a good look at your LinkedIn feed and you will notice them. Or rather, you won't notice them at all. They are what we call lurkers. So they never post on the platform, but yet they are still active. Sometimes they don't even have one post on their profile, despite the fact that they've been on LinkedIn for years. What I've noticed is that their profile is well structured with the past experience, the about section, a professional photo, and even a good banner sometimes. But when you scroll down on their page in the posts section, it's like a desert. They didn't share about their expertise, they are not sharing news about their company, and they are just not publishing anything. And what this type of profile reveals about their business is interesting because there are 2 different cases, and both cases are radically different. First case, everyone envies this situation. First one is very positive, and every business owners would like to be in this situation. What happens is that they have so many clients, they don't need any more sales. So what they do is that they don't post anything. They have their digital presence on LinkedIn, but because they don't need more clients, they don't publish anything. And the second case, it's much more worrying. No one would like to be in this situation. What happens is that they don't have clarity on their target audience or on their messaging strategy. So they prefer to hide their profile and they prefer to not publishing anything because they don't want to take any risk. They prefer to stay silent. The truth is that they don't know what to say, they don't know how to say it, and they are afraid of judgment. So those entrepreneurs are often in difficulty because they feel stuck and they don't really know what to share publicly online. And the funny thing is that those two cases are very different. They are really opposed, but in both cases, they are facing the same problem, is that they are not developing their brands or their personal brands on LinkedIn. Because here is the thing, even when you have a lot of clients, publishing on LinkedIn will help you to increase the sales closing rates. It will also increase your authority in the industry, and overall it will increase the trust of your prospects, but also of your existing clients. So in those both cases, they are missing out on the opportunity, which is to develop their authority on LinkedIn. Let's move on to profile number 3, which I can call the hyperactive. He's everywhere, all the time, on every topics. He's so active that everyone is wondering how he is still managing his clients and his business in general with all this activity on LinkedIn. The hyperactive entrepreneur constantly posts on LinkedIn even multiple times a day and also spend a lot of time commenting on other posts or replying to his own comments. 2 posts in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, and another one at the end of the day. All while obviously spending hours responding to comments on the platform. This endless stream of content can feel really impressive, but the question is, what does it really say about their business? In most cases, from what I've analyzed, this hyper frenzy of publishing so much content hides a desperate need for visibility. So as you know, on LinkedIn, the algorithm favors frequency, meaning that when you are posting on a consistent and regular basis, this will increase your performance, impressions, profile views, and so on. So this hyperactive understood this, but they are pushing it a bit too far. Because behind this overposting strategy, there is a more problematic situation. It's a company that is in urgent needs to find new customers. Or even worse, what it feels from an external perspective is a lack of expertise. If they are so good at what they are doing, why do they need to post that much on LinkedIn and maybe on other platforms? Do they really need this to attract clients? Or there is a situation and a feeling that is even worse than this, is that from an external point of view, people might think that they are so much posting on LinkedIn that they don't even spend time taking care of their clients. And some people even ask themselves, does this guy have a real business or are they just inventing stuff on LinkedIn? This is the feeling that people might have when they see this hyperactive entrepreneur. As I said, I've analyzed thousands of LinkedIn posts and LinkedIn profiles, and I've noticed that when business owners are posting so much on the platform like this, most of the time the quality of the posts are not that good. So they focus on volume rather than quality. Now, of course, publishing a lot of content is not a bad thing on its own. It's really about the quality. And some entrepreneurs are hyperactive on the platform, but it's part of a calculated content plan. These entrepreneurs, usually they have a rapidly growing business and they just want to become an authority in their industry and dominate their category as the business grows. They understood that posting a lot of quality content on LinkedIn will give them an edge over the competition, because by repeating the same messages over and over and showing their brand to their potential customers will increase their chance of success. But the question is, how can you make the difference between those two types of entrepreneurs? The answer is simple. Look closely at the content, and it's all about the quality and the type of content they are sharing. The struggling hyperactive entrepreneur talks a lot about themselves, what they are doing, their features, and they are constantly trying to attract attention on their business, and this shows that they are looking for more customers. And on the other hand, the strategic hyperactive entrepreneur has a strong content plan with many different types of interesting content, which adds a lot of interesting insights in the platform. Case studies, analysis of trends, opinions, or even how-tos and workflows that they use in their business. Here you see the difference. They are positioning themselves as an authority in their industry rather than crying for attention. But even in this case, they should be careful to not post too much content on LinkedIn. And the irony in this hyperactive entrepreneur, the first one, is that at the end of the day, it has a counterproductive effect. As I said, people feel that they are looking for attention, and so they end up damaging their brand rather than attracting new clients for their business. And the worst part for them is when even the algorithm ends up punishing them for posting too much irrelevant content. That's sad. Now let's move on to the type of profile number 4. We can call them the megaphones. You can spot this type of profile at first glance. It's like they are using a megaphone to scream about themselves on LinkedIn. They are usually talking about their offer, their success, or themselves. It's not even building public anymore, it's what we could call brag in public. They are never talking about the expertise, the industry, but always about themselves. And of course, they don't show any failures, even if everyone knows that failures is part of the trial and errors process of any business. All their content ends up by being a kind of hall of fame of all their achievements. We are delighted to announce that we have skyrocketed our revenue in 6 months. We are proud to share that we have a cutting edge technology, we are the best in the industry, blah blah blah. So basically, each publication is an occasion to congratulate themselves. However, the truth is that it reveals much more about the company situation than the success itself. And the patterns is very obvious. I've seen it in my analysis, but I'm sure that you've seen it as well, is that this pattern is showing that the megaphone is actively looking for new clients and much more than he wants to admit it. In general, the business is not strong enough to attract clients naturally. So what happens is that they need to brag about their achievement and their success in order to attract attention and customers. This might show a problem with their value proposition, their target market, or their offer, or even it might show a problem with what they are bragging about. It might hide some problems about the results that they are bringing for their clients. But it doesn't stop here. There is a deeper problem. What will happen in the mind of their prospects and of their audience in general is that they will feel that this megaphone is looking for more clients and that they are desperate for new customers. It feels that they need to prove something. And you know, we often call this virtue signaling, is when you are saying to everyone that you have a quality, but the truth is that bragging about this quality often hides the exact opposite. So all this bragging about successes might hide a more problematic situation where they are struggling to actually generate success. The truth is that true industry leaders don't always have to remind other people of their success because their achievements or their network take care of that. In fact, it's their reputation that speaks for itself. And I've noticed that, generally speaking, these behaviors happens in the first years of a business or for the first years of an entrepreneur because it's normal. They don't have solid foundation yet, so they need to share more about their achievements in order to prove something to themselves and to the market. I would advise to have a solid content plan where you don't always show your achievements and where you build in public and not brag in public, which is very different. The lesson here is very simple. Don't commit too much on the self-promotion because it will have a negative impact on the perceptions of others. Your audience will perceive it even unconsciously. And also, they might even unfollow you when they see that you are always talking about yourself. Now, the next one is a funny one. I can call them the trend hoppers. They are really easy to spot on your newsfeed. Why? Because they are always changing their industry, their expertise, or their skills. One day they are really passionate about cryptocurrency, the next day they are really expert in Web3, and then they are the best generative AI expert in the world. And before you can even click follow, they've already changed their expertise, so you don't know why you are following them anymore. These trends hunters are changing their title and their expertise every 6 months. So basically every time there is a new trend. We've seen this with NFT, Web3, cryptocurrency, blockchain, AI, and so on. What this behavior reveals about their business is really interesting. This constant pivot shows 3 different things. First, a lack of focus on one specific expertise, and you know that focus is everything in business. Second, a fundamental instability on their value proposition and how they are helping their customers exactly. And third, it doesn't seem serious for the audience and for potential clients. Because if you are looking for, let's say, a Web3 expert, will you choose someone who just changed their profiles, or will you choose someone who has been in this industry for the past 10 years? I think you can decide really fast. The reality behind this behavior, maybe they are struggling to sell, so they feel that they need to go on the new trend in order to catch the momentum and find new clients, or maybe they are not focused at all, so every time they build an offer, they have the shiny object syndrome and they feel, oh, I want to do another business already. In both cases, this is a very bad signals for their business and also for the market. Because obviously, as a result, no one takes them seriously. Because clients don't want to work with people who have an unclear positioning, unclear skill, or unclear expertise. And unfortunately, this approach for the trend hopper usually have the exact opposite effect of what they wanted. Instead of maximizing opportunities, what they are actually doing is that they dilute their perceived value and it dilutes their positioning on the market. So here the lesson is very clear. Consistency and long-term specialization and positioning are signals of stability and expertise that your audience can feel and perceive consciously or not. And on LinkedIn, as in business in general, trust is built on consistency, not on 180 degrees turns. Now let's talk about an interesting one that we can call the philosopher. The philosopher is really easy to spot on LinkedIn, and honestly, it can be very pleasing to read. This is the person who regularly publishes about profound reflections or meditations on the meaning of their professional lives, or even elaborate on really conceptual analysis and theories. His posts are often really long, full of wisdom. It's the kind of post that you are not used to read on LinkedIn or on any other social media platform. Here is an example. In a world of AI automation, authenticity and human connection is the most important aspect of professional life. You recognize the style, right? What sets the philosopher apart from other profiles is the striking lack of pragmatic informations or any concrete link between their reflections and their offering what they are selling exactly. He seems to float above commercials concerns, a bit like he is sharing his wisdom at the top of a mountain. So now the question is, what does this reveal exactly about their company? Because here we are talking about business owners. First, these types of posts reveal that they want to be perceived as an influential thinker, but it can also hide another aspect which is very important. Often when they are too broad in their messaging, too theoretic, talking about concepts rather than skills, is that they are repositioning themselves, of that they don't really know exactly what they are selling, so they tend to be broad because they cannot be specific. Now, of course, I'm putting apart all the philosophers who are doing this because they love it, they love to share their wisdom, their reflections and so on. This is totally different. I'm talking about business owners. So in the problematic case where they are too broad because they don't know what details to share, their lack of clear offers or value proposition or expertise in their posts reveals a fundamental difficulty to convert their audience into clients. Because remember, when you have a business, content at the end of the day is here to generate revenue. It's not only here to build an audience or talk about your business or talk about your thoughts in general. And it's exactly here where there is the problem for the philosopher. The philosophers often attract a large, broad audience that is not really committed in one specific aspect. And the philosopher also struggles to transform this broad audience into customers and into revenue. Why? Because his content isn't clear, his offer isn't clear, his value proposition is unclear. It's not specific enough, it's too broad. His content strategy does does not in fact create enough bridges from content to commercial actions such as a discovery call or a sale. In short, the lesson is very clear here. Starting as a philosopher, it's a good foundation to build an audience, but the problem is that it lacks a concrete next step for the audience, and so in the long term, the philosopher will not generate revenue for their business because they are not anchoring in tangible solutions, so there will not be a tangible impact. So when you create content, always try to be very specific about your expertise, your topics, and your offer. The next one is the hidden salesman. At first glance, he seems like a generous and selfless creator. His posts always begin with a promise or an insight that they want to share. For example, the 5 fatal mistakes to avoid in digital marketing. So the content is often details with advice that seem helpful, but look closely because every post that the hidden salesman publishes, it's full of hints to sell. Basically, they are always trying to sell on every post. At the end of the post with a CTA, or even at the beginning, or maybe when you will like or comment, you will receive an automated direct message 5 minutes after. So they introduce themselves as a content creator, but in reality, it's a sales rep that is just using content in order to sell you something within a day. This approach reveals crucial aspects of his business. I have identified 2 in particular. In the first case, there is a direct correlation between the number of salesy posts and the financial pressure of the company. Because they need to generate revenue ASAP, they are using LinkedIn as a way to disguise promotions in content. And basically, when they have months with a difficult cash flow, they are increasing the numbers of salesy posts like that. They are also increasing the number of direct messages that they send. So they basically intensify their actions on LinkedIn to increase the number of customers in a short time period. And this has a negative impact, obviously, because they might be perceived as spammy, and so they damage their brand in order to generate short-term revenue. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a good thing to send direct messages and to try to sell in your content, but it's all about the frequency. You should not do that more than 15% of your posts, as I explained in my authority first framework. And so the fundamental problem with this approach is that step by step, day by day, they are eroding the trust of their potential customers. They are gradually causing a loss of commitment from their audience as well. So this strategy of overselling and hiding promotions all the time or sending aggressive direct messages reveals a fundamental problem about their business, which is that either their target market is not hungry enough, there is not enough market demand, or maybe what they are delivering to their clients is not good enough, so they lack retention, they lack word of mouth, they lack testimonials, so they always need to acquire new clients with aggressive sales techniques. Or last option, maybe they have not created yet a solid marketing and sales system that allows them to have a natural flow from audience to prospects to a closed-won deal. In the 3 cases, there is something that they need to fix. They need to solve a pure problem, painful, urgent, recognized, and expensive. They need to have a strong offer that feels natural for the prospect to purchase, and also they need a better flow for their sales system in order to convert prospects into customers. So I've talked about the hidden salesman, and if you follow them, as you know, you will get bored, you will step by step not trust them, or it can happen after just a few posts. And in this video, I talked about many different profiles, but there is a last one that I want to talk about. It's a much more resilient profile with a long-term strategy that will allow them to create a real authority in their industry and also to build an engaged audience and to generate revenue in the long term. So this is what we are going to look at now. And this profile, I call it the industry authority. You will immediately recognize an industry authority in your feed. The industry authority shares insightful posts about their industry, their expertise, their skills, but more importantly, they help their target audience to fix their problems, achieve their objectives, and they also educate them to upskill in different areas for their career. And sometimes they don't really follow trends. What they do is that they constantly listen to their customers and their audience, and they provide solutions to their problem. And also sometimes they even set trends rather than following them. They also influence people in their industry, and we can often call them thought leaders. What sets them apart is their ability to share rich content that combines theory and concepts, but also pragmatic examples and case studies. They don't just say, here is how to do it. They also say, here is how I do it, and here is why you should do it. So they give context when they are sharing their opinion or their expertise. And the truth is that all this content comes from their expertise and not the opposite. So they are building a personal brand based on solid foundations, their experience, their expertise, and also all the mistakes that they've done in the past. So at the end of the day, they create rich content that really help their audience. And unlike the previous archetypes that I've shared, these types of profiles can have a long-term growth thanks to their solid content strategy. They will build their authority, increase trust, attract an audience, retain this audience, build a strong pipeline, and convert prospects into clients. And at the end of the day, they generate revenue thanks to their authority and their content. The end result, they build a reputation that become a revenue stream for their business. So they don't really need to sell aggressively anymore like the hidden salesman. They don't need to jump on trends every month like the trends hopper, and they don't need to be hyperactive as well, because their long-term strategy is the ultimate proof of their strong positioning and of their solid company. So the lesson is really clear here. You should publish authority first content in order to become an authority in your industry, and then step by step sell your offer, but not directly and not aggressively. The truth is that it's your reputation that will sell your offer, as I said. And of course, you will be able to send direct messages to your audience on LinkedIn, but because they know you from your content, you will get even better performance because they will open your messages, read them, and reply because they know you from your content. So if you are interested to become an authority in your industry, you should have a look at the link inside the description and you will see how to do this. So basically, the reality is that you thought you were just posting on LinkedIn, but with all the posts that you've shared, you've been writing the biography of your business on LinkedIn. Every post, every like, every actions that you took on the platform left a clue that says a lot about your business, your success, and your future success. And here is the real catch. If you are able to read this in other posts, people are able to read this in your posts. They can read you too. Your customers, your audience, your investors, your competitors, everyone can read this in your LinkedIn posts. The question is not anymore about what exact words you are using in your posts. The question is no longer about each little post that you are publishing. The question is about the broader narrative that you are sharing in your content. And also it's about the perception of the market about your company. So the question here is, do you like the story that they are seeing in your posts and in this broader narrative? Because the truth is, whether you like it or not, people in your market have a perception of you, your brand, you as a business owner, and your broader narrative. And they may be reading an image of you that you never wanted to project, an image that may harm your business. Fortunately, there is a solution to fix this problem if you think you have it, is to build authority content with the archetype that I've explained, the industry authority. And I will teach you how to do it in a free video that I've created for you based on my experience on LinkedIn, getting 48 million impressions and generating over $1.4 million on LinkedIn. Click the link in the description in order to watch this video.